My name is Ayana. It's Christmas Eve. I'm standing at my parents' dining table. The room completely silent. Every face frozen, staring at me. My hands are trembling. My voice is steady. And I am about to show my family exactly what they did to me on November 30th. The day I almost died, while they sat 2 miles away, finishing their brunch. It started on an ordinary Sunday morning. November 30th, I was heading home from the grocery store. Nothing unusual, just weekend errands. The sky was gray, the roads were quiet, and I had the green light at the intersection of Elm Street and 3rd Avenue. Then everything changed in a single second. A reckless driver came out of nowhere and plowed directly into my car. The impact was deafening. The airbag exploded into my face. Glass shattered around me like rain. And I felt my body slam sideways with a force I'd never experienced in my life. I tasted blood immediately. My chest felt like someone had dropped a concrete wall onto it. Every breath I tried to take was a battle, like trying to breathe underwater. Like my lungs had simply forgotten how to work. The paramedics arrived quickly. I was conscious the whole time, which in some ways made it worse. I could feel everything. I could hear everything. I could see the concern on their faces as they worked on me. When they asked me who to call, I didn't hesitate for even a second. My parents. They had always been my emergency contacts. They had always been the people I called when things went wrong. That's what parents are for. The ambulance ride to City General Hospital felt endless. I watched the clock on the paramedics' equipment, counting every minute, holding on to the thought that my parents were coming, that I wouldn't be alone. When I arrived, I was rushed into trauma bay too. Dr. Thompson was the attending physician. He ordered immediate x-rays. Suspected a pneumothorax, a collapsed lung, and possible internal bleeding. My oxygen saturation was falling fast. 88%, then 85%. A nurse named Sarah, someone I actually recognized from a different hospital department, squeezed my hand gently and said, "Asterisk, we're calling your parents now. Sweetie, they'll be here soon, asterisk." I believed her, but no one came. I lay there in that trauma bay, machines beeping around me, oxygen mask over my face, and no one came. I picked up my phone. The screen was shattered from the crash, but it still worked. And I started calling. I called my dad first. For rings, voicemail, I called my mom. Same thing. I kept calling. And calling. And calling. 16 times in less than 1 hour. I left 3 voicemails. In the second one, I could hear myself gasping between words, begging them to please just come. Telling them I was scared, that they were talking about surgery, that I couldn't breathe properly. 16 calls, 3 voicemails, not one answer. And then at 11:47 that same morning, my sister Maya posted on Instagram a bright, cheerful photo. Beautiful food, smiling faces. The caption read, asterisk, best parents ever, asterisk, it was tagged at the Riverside Caf. I opened Google Maps with shaking hands. 2 miles from the hospital. An 8-minute drive. They were right there. The weeks that followed were some of the darkest of my life. I recovered physically, slowly and painfully, but emotionally I was drowning. And the strangest part, my family acted as though nothing had happened. My mom sent cheerful texts about Christmas plans. My dad forwarded me some joke email. Maya posted holiday baking videos on Instagram with her kids, laughing and decorating cookies. Not one of them called to ask how I was really doing. Not one acknowledged the gravity of what had happened. Not one said the words asterisk, I'm sorry, asterisk. Then on December 21st, everything shifted. I was sitting alone in my apartment, eating leftover soup, when my phone rang. A known number. I almost didn't pick up, but something inside me said to answer. A woman's voice came through, nervous and careful. She said her name was Lisa, She told me she had been at the Riverside Cafe on November 30th, sitting at the table next to my family. And she said she needed me to know what she had witnessed. My heart stopped. Lisa told me that when my mom's phone began ringing and she saw my name on the screen, she looked up from her food and said, and I will never forget these words. Asterisk, it's Ayana again, asterisk. Like I was an inconvenience. Like I was interrupting something important. My dad glanced over, looked at the screen, and said, asterisk, she can wait. We're not doing this here, asterisk, and then Maya leaned in and said, asterisk, please don't let her ruin today, asterisk. They put their phones face down on the table, and they kept eating. I sat there in my apartment with the phone, pressed to my ear, and I felt something break open inside me. Not just sadness, something deeper, a grief I didn't even have a name for yet. I started gathering everything. Screenshots of my call log, Maya's Instagram post, my hospital medical records, the emergency contact, notifications showing the hospital had called my parents 3 separate times. I built a complete timeline, documented every detail, and I kept it all. When the Christmas Eve dinner invitation came by group text on December 22nd, I made a decision. I was going. On December 24th, I pulled into my parents' driveway. The house looked the way it always had, lights strung along the porch. A wreath on the door, warm and golden and familiar. I sat in my car for a moment, looking at it. Then I picked up my bag, my laptop, a Bluetooth speaker, and every piece of evidence I had gathered, and I walked inside. Dinner started quietly, normally, until my dad stood up, raised his glass, and said he was grateful to have everyone together. He mentioned, almost as an afterthought, how proud he was of how, asterisk, independent asterisk, I'd been after my, asterisk, little accident dot asterisk, how well I'd handled everything on my own. That word, asterisk, little asterisk. I stood up. Asterisk, actually, Dad, asterisk, I said, my voice completely calm. Asterisk, before we go any further, everyone at this table needs to hear the real story, asterisk. I walked to the hallway, got my bag, and came back. I opened my laptop and pulled up my call log, turning the screen so the whole table could see. 16 calls. 1 hour, 0 answers. I pulled up Maya's Instagram post on the family TV, the smiling faces, the beautiful food, the timestamp. Reading 11:47 a.m. I read aloud from my medical records. The part where the hospital had contacted my emergency contacts 3 times while I was in critical condition. Then I picked up the Bluetooth speaker, and I played the voicemail. My own voice filled the room, gasping, broken, terrified. Asterisk, Mom, please. I can't breathe. Broken ribs. They're saying surgery. Please, I'm scared, asterisk. The room was completely silent. Some of my relatives were crying. My mom had her hand over her mouth. My dad looked like the floor had fallen out from under him. I looked around the table slowly and I said, asterisk, if your child called you 16 times from an emergency room, gasping for air, begging you to come, would you put your phone face down and keep eating? No one answered. Asterisk, this was not a missed call. Asterisk, I said. Asterisk, this was a choice. You chose brunch over your daughter who was fighting to breathe. And you have spent my entire life making that same choice in smaller ways. But I am done being the one who adapts. I am done earning love that was never going to be equal, asterisk. I picked up my things and I walked out. My cousin Zara followed me outside. She said she was with me. That was enough. Over the following days, the texts and voicemails poured. In apologies, explanations, my parents' voices sounding smaller than I had ever heard them. But I had learned something in that hospital bed. Words are cheap. Real change looks different. I started therapy in early January. It was the best decision I have ever made. My therapist helped me understand something I had been telling myself for years was not true. That I had to keep shrinking myself to keep the peace. That I had to earn my place in my own family. I stopped believing that. I joined a hiking group. I enrolled in an advanced nursing course. I built new friendships with people who actually show up when it matters. It is March now. The future of my family relationships is still uncertain. Maybe there will be real reconciliation one day, built on genuine accountability. Maybe there won't be. But I know who I am. I know what I deserve. I am no longer the daughter who waits by the phone. I am Ayana, and I chose myself.